You're watching News 9's Deccan Vahini. I'm Prajwal D'Souza. A fresh row has erupted in the state over the Karnataka government's decision to paint schools under the Viveka scheme in saffron color. The scheme was unveiled yesterday by Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai. The opposition, Congress and some Muslim organizations have accused the state government of saffronizing education. Now, both the Karnataka Education Minister B.C. Nagesh and the Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai defended the move. Well, B.C. Nagesh said that some people are allergic to the color saffron. Chief Minister Bommai said that there was no need to do cheap politics over this issue. I'm joined by Mr. Niranjan Aradhya, an educationist, to discuss more on this issue. Sir, as the opposition alleges, is the Karnataka government trying to saffronize education?
Yeah, there are different dimensions. What we have been seeing, at least in the last 1 year, you take any issues, particularly after this minister took over as the education minister, whether that is the issue of hijab, that is one way of really kind of saying no to right to education to those children, and the issue of textbook controversy, which is another form of saffronization, and also kind of using the money that is available for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe children for education to teach mathematics, Veda mathematics, particularly to train teachers, and also to introduce dana. And now the latest in the row is painting saffron color. See, all of us know in this country saffron represent a religious kind of color. So it's not, and I see, like, basically when we talk about kind of coloring walls, creating a kind of conducive environment for learning process, there are many kind of pedagogical notes, concepts and all. So it should be child friendly, it should encourage that kind of a learning environment. And particularly when we talk about, take for example their own guidelines prepared by the CPWD, central government, it says that the walls and ceiling should be whitewash, basically because you require a lot of light in the classrooms, you require a lot of and you can use that white to paint many other pedagogical activities, kind of illustrating certain mathematical things, colors, or kind of shapes, or various, there are many activities to pedagogically prepare a classroom, inside classroom, in many ways, which enables children to learn. But without doing that, we are getting into a new kind of controversy. I think this is unwarranted, this is really uncalled for.
All right. The government has said that saffron is just a color. It is also there in the national
White
flag.
is also a color. Green is also a color. See, minister in many a times, instead of responding to the kind of queries raised by people working in the sector, he always reacts. He reacts in such a negative fashion. He was telling that if saffron is also part of our national flag, then let us put national flag in all classrooms. Let us put the preamble of the constitution. Let us talk about the fundamental rights. Let us talk about the directive principles. Let us talk about the core kind of quotations of various educationists like Jiddu Krishnamurti, Rabindranath Tagore. So which kind of see, we have tried all these things in the earlier kind of programs. Take for example DPEP was one of the programs all over the country where we painted all walls and the entire school premises in a different way, which was to create more a kind of enabling environment. But now we are almost going back from that tradition. We just want to use saffron color. Why minister is so keen about it? And it was never discussed. See, particularly all these academic related matters need to be discussed in the academic authorities. The DSCRT is an academic authority, and minister is telling that some of the architects have recommended. Let him release the report to the public domain. Who is that architect who has recommended? What is the rationale for that? Whether saffron color has any kind of relationship, to create a, enabling learning environment. In what way it motivates, kind of children. Whether it has any other, kind of impact on learning process. All these things need to be put it in the public domain. Why we are hiding things? Who has that, recommended? And moreover, see, school is a secular institution. The secular fabric of this country need not be politicized like this, or kind of use colors of a particular ideology. It represents particular ideology, a particular political party, which is wrong. I think you can't really politicize, saffronize education. We have many other issues. There are issues about kind of clean toilets. There are issues about kind of good classrooms. There are issues about the appointment of teachers. There are many issues. Learning should be the centrality in any education process. But we are doing all other things except focusing on learning. Particularly after COVID, all of us know that there was learning deprivation. So we have to take arrangements for that. But if you look at last 1 year, kind of developments in school education sector, Karnataka, all controversies. Last 1 year is full of controversies.
Correct.
Negating the right to education, negating the very scientific foundation of education process. This is not what Aradhya is telling. This is part of the constitution. Constitution talks about kind of scientific education, scientific temper, kind of going beyond kind of a caste, religion, creed. You must be secular, a kind of a democratization of the entire education process. Nothing such kind of things are happening. Always controversies, and kind of almost suppose you do saffron and some other communities will come and say let us have green.
Correct.
All Urdu schools may say that let us have a green color.
Correct.
So what will be our response? And why always we are kind of targeting government schools? Are you using the same color in all private institutions? Are you sending a circular so that all private schools will also have saffron color with the name of Viveka? We are really making the government school children a kind of guinea pigs. Which is completely wrong.
Correct. How do you think reforms like this or decisions like this might affect the mindset of children who go to these schools?
Certainly, it creates lot of kind of already children, because of various reasons in India. The education process is, instead of kind of integrating, it is segregating children, because we have so many types of schools affiliated to International Baccalaureate, Oxford, Cambridge, ICSE, CBSE. Last in the hierarchy is the government school. So there is already inequality. There is segregation. So this kind of interventions will certainly divide children. And children will start kind of feeling that, oh, this is not kind of a color that what we represent. Because basically when we talk about a particular kind of color, when we talk about, and we give lot of publicity for that, because we are doing, every time either chief minister or minister, the way they kind of react to these issues, what is wrong in saffron color? Why, who has said, which any academicians or the curriculum framework, their own curriculum framework 2020 talks about a cheerful color in the classrooms to enable children to prepare themselves for the learning process. So therefore, these issues will certainly, kind of create some kind of confusion among children, and it may also leads to kind of a division that, kind of we belong to this color, you belong to, already that kind of mindset is there. We and they. So that is there, that in Indian, kind of the way we look at things, we always, do that kind of a discrimination. I think this will further deepen, because actually whatever, in fact, what they are supposed to move towards in the education reforms, they could have thought of common school system, which was recommended by the Kothari Commission. So bringing all children together in one place, kind of creating a common learning environment. We are not doing that. So what we are doing is more and more divisions, more and more segregation, more and more, kind of an attempt basically to divide children in the name of religion, in the name of color, in the name of caste. I think that is that is not the purpose of education. The purpose of education is, putting together integrity, unity.
Correct.
So that is the purpose of education, but what we are doing is quite opposite to that.
Now, just in this 1.5 years since Basuraj Bommai's government took charge, we've seen so many controversies regarding education. As you said earlier,
Yes.
there were hijab, controversy over hijab, then there was a textbook row. Why do you think this government and this education department is marred in so many controversies? There were also charges of corruption earlier. Why do you think?
No,
Why do you
there
think
was
this is
also
so?
an attempt, to undo the constitutional right. Right to education, right to free and compulsory education is a constitutional right. It was almost they were making an attempt to, kind of undo that with a circular, which is really something very, kind of peculiar. And I think, this is basically part of their political ideology. This is basically a kind of a vote bank politics, kind of a polarization, a kind of, dividing the, kind of masses on caste and, creed lines, and they have a political advantage for that. They have a political benefit from out of it. So probably they are not, that's the reason I am telling that they are not doing it just because they are innocent, naive or something like that. But what is really bothering me is after this minister took over, everything is decided at his level. Take for example the curriculum construction, the revision of textbooks. There is a competent authority to do all that, and it is recognized in the Right to Education Act. Section 29 of the Right to Education Act clearly says anything related to academics, the competent authority should do that. But if you look at all the decision, all these decisions are done at the minister level. So minister is very keen. So instead of kind of a collective process, as taking the education department into confidence, the people who are working in the education department into confidence, he himself is deciding everything. This is most like an arbitrary decision. This is a unilateral decision. That is what we are questioning. But whenever we question them in a more kind of pedagogical perspective, always there is kind of attack on us. Always he says, oh, there are a group of or a set of people always oppose. See, our purpose is not to oppose everything. If you go by whatever the norms and standards, for everything there is a norms and standards, you must go by that. And you are almost violating everything. And you have taken oath in the name of constitution, but in your kind of actions you are almost violating the constitution on daily basis, which is not acceptable. And any kind of concerned citizen can't keep quiet on these issues. So therefore, if you look at, we can see a kind of a pattern. One could see a pattern in the entire process. The pattern is that to take political advantage of each and everything. Politicizing education, saffronizing education, communalizing education, a kind of activities, kind of to plan and implement activities in such a way you will get a political advantage of it. I think that is too much, politicizing the entire academics, schools. I think that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable because education is basically to create a kind of the core values of the constitution, to ensure social justice, to create a kind of an environment where we love diversity, integrity, the tolerance, peaceful coexistence, cooperation. This is the values that we have to inculcate from education, which strengthens the very fabric of the constitution. But what we are doing is the other way around. Other way around. So that's why all of us concerned. We are nothing against any individual or nothing against a singular political party, but their programs and their actions are very clearly visible that it has a political agenda. It has a political agenda which kind of goes against the very purpose of education. So I think that is where exactly the problem lies, and we need to kind of really think about it. Whatever at least we had earlier in the education reforms, I think it's very important to bring back those reforms, particularly kind of building a modern education based on the scientific understanding, secular values within the education institutions, and giving top priority to learning. Learning should be the bottom line, and all our interventions and all our activities should enable children to learn better, to enjoy their childhood. That should be the goal of entire
Correct. Now, we've also seen reports on how facilities have been lacking in these government schools. Now, recently there was a report which said that the number of teachers in government schools has actually fallen. It's below 2 lakhs now. Don't you think the government should focus on issues like this rather than maybe thinking of painting the schools with saffron color or any other color?
You are very 100% right. I just want to quote one, concrete, answer that was given in the Lok Sabha. The it is the compliance of RTE, right to education, has kind of listed 8 core facilities. Of course, that is the minimum facilities should be there in all schools. After 12 years of implementing Right to Education Act in Karnataka, the compliance is 23.6. Only out of 100 schools, 23 schools have all the 8 facilities. Remaining 77 schools have not all the 8 facilities. They may have 1 or 2. So that shows very sad state of affairs. You have not provided the basic infrastructure. What is that basic infrastructure? Classroom, toilets, teachers. Teachers, if you look at, at the time of RTE implemented in 2010-11, there were roughly about 2 lakhs teachers. Now we have only 1,66,000 teachers. In fact, after implementing the fundamental right, things could have been better, not going back. Correct. And we have been talking about this appointment of 15,000 teachers for how many? Almost 1.5 years. Even today we have not appointed, and minister is telling that in next 10-15 days we will announce. But this is already December, November, December. What is that we are going to do? Correct. And we have started appointing the guest teachers. See, like basically whatever our emphasis basically to improve equitable quality education to all children, which is the main intention of the Right to Education Act, we are not doing it. Of course, the classroom conditions is very bad. Majority of the schools have no playground. There are many issues. Where is library? These are all the core issues. If you look at CPWD, guidelines, how we have to build a, school or an educational institutions, they have a set of guidelines. It talks about all these things. There should be a library, there should be a playground, there should be a computer, because we are talking about digital India. So it lacks everything. I'm not even talking about, a laboratory and all, which is a very essential thing, at least from class 5 onwards. Nothing we are providing, but we are creating, all kinds of rows and all kinds of, things. I think probably here education has been pushed to back, and politics, is in the forefront. I think that is the reason why we are creating all these controversies at the cost of poor children.
Correct.
I think that is completely unacceptable, and now at least the time has come that the state and the government should realize. And also my request to CM, it's not good to defend his education minister all the time. So see, basically he has to evaluate his actions in the last 1 year. It has done more damage than strengthening public education. So we can give examples. Give examples, particularly during COVID, the way we handled the issue. There are many issues. So therefore I think probably the time has come now to concentrate and let them take a kind of objective assessment of the things. It's not just kind of a political battle between parties, or almost telling that those who criticize are all bad, anti-national. I think that's not a good approach. And minister should start responding rather than reacting to the issues. Correct. That's my sincere opinion.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Aradhya, for joining us today on News 9. Well, as the educationist rightly said, the government should at least focus on improving the facilities in government schools, maybe getting the number of teachers, increasing the number of teachers in these schools, rather than taking decisions, which might likely court controversies in the states. Thank you for watching News 9's Deccan Vahini. Have a good day.